back to another edition of What's That Tick? So today I decided to pull the valve cover off of the S10. Try to figure out if there's anything in the top end that's suspect before I go ahead and take the whole engine out. I mean, to me it sounds like it's coming from the top end, but I don't know. So I ended up pulling off all the rocker arms, so you can see here, and the push rods and everything. The push rods are actually aftermarket, thick wall, chromoly from BTR. So I don't think there's any issue with those. I checked over the rocker arms, and what I did find was this one here is really worn out. I don't know if you can really see how shiny it is and how high up that shininess goes compared to, say, this one. So I don't know. I think I'm just going to put it back together with a different, change that one rocker arm, give it a try, see if that does anything. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, I don't know. I even checked the valve springs, or the valves themselves, like the tops. I thought maybe one of them was like super worn out or something. Everything looks good there. These are aftermarket valve springs and everything already. The Pack 1218s. So that should be all good. So pretty much my only option is to try this rocker. Fire it up again, see if it does anything. If it does, great. If it doesn't, well, then I guess we'll start taking the engine out. Also kind of working on the GTO a little bit today. Just sprayed this inner fender with this self-etching primer right here to protect it from any kind of rusting before I paint it. I have the other one over here. It's primed with the same stuff, but it's a different color before. The only reason I haven't painted them nice is because I don't really have anywhere safe to put them without them getting all scratched up. So I think I'm just gonna prime them like this, and then I'll put them away for now until it's time to put them in the car. So I don't know, if this doesn't cure it, then obviously it's something inside the engine and the piston skirt or something. I don't know. I really don't want to have to take the engine out. It just seems like, you know, not something I want to do right now, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. These push rods back in. I just pulled them out to give them an inspection. I also don't want to have to, I don't really want to have to take the heads off because I just put them on with new head gaskets and everything, so I don't really want to have to take them off again. But alright, we'll get some rocker arms. And one more missing. Uh-oh. Alright. This will be the new one that I'm replacing, or not new one, but like I said before, I am doing the trunnion upgrade. I'm going to take the ones off my car. But of course I also want to put that trunnion upgrade. It's the same thing. You still have to use an old set of rockers, so I still want to get ones that are good. So if that one's worn out, I don't want to use it. Of course, I went through my stash and I only had like 3 spare ones. We used a bunch on the shit horse engine because it had a bunch that were like really worn out too, and we were worried that that was what was causing the tick that it had before. But yeah, so that's all I have, but I can always get more from the junkyard, I guess. I could buy new ones, but I don't know if that's worth it or not to buy them new. If you're new to LS's, which I'm sure most of you are not, these do not have any adjustment. You pretty much just tighten them. They're supposed to be like 22 foot-pounds. A lot of guys say when you tighten them, you have to put them on their lobe or off their lobe. I don't know. And that you're supposed to use a torque wrench, etc. And a lot of guys say just tighten them up really good. So I don't know. I can't really get in here with the torque wrench to tighten them, so I'm just gonna probably tighten them really good, and that's that. I know I'm probably wasting my time. I'd like to think that this is gonna do something, but So I get the feeling it won't. Let's give her a try. Said, not holding out much hope, but you never know, I guess. So that did nothing, as I expected it probably would. I mean, it also, when it's cold, it's louder than when it gets warm. But if that was the issue, was that rocker, it would be quiet now. So it's not. So I guess we're going to have to start taking it apart. Only thing to do is start taking it apart, I guess. Now keep in mind, I've probably mentioned this before, but it has been making this ticking sound since I put the engine in, like 2 years ago. So it's not like it's something new. It's just something that I've been kind of chasing and trying to fix, and I thought it was the lifters, and I'm just sick of it and I want to figure out what it is. So I could leave it and it obviously still runs and drives. I gotta figure out what it is and fix it, because it just doesn't make the truck as fun to drive, you know. And like I said, when it's cold, it's pretty noisy, and then once it warms up, it doesn't go away, but it gets way less, you know. So it's just one of those things where I don't want to jump in the truck and go for a cruise, because I got to warm it up before I can, you know, because it's ticking away. And I think it's something like a piston, like piston slap, maybe clap skirt, or maybe the pin is seized up or something, because I never really took this engine totally apart. Like I had to change that one piston the one time after the I didn't have the boost reference line on, or when I first got it running. I changed the one piston that was damaged when I got the engine. That's what was wrong with the engine when I got it. So I never actually took all the pistons out and inspected them and stuff. So I think that's what I'm going to have to do, and find something, a bent rod or a piston or a pin or something. I don't know. But like I said, let's just get unbolting stuff, I guess. Alright, so now that I got all that off, I also took off the V-bands for the hot side, which, as I said, I just took off in the last video, and the exhaust there. So now I'm going to fight with the taking the wastegate off again, and then I can pull this whole unit off, just like I did in the last video. So I won't bore you with that part, and I'll come back once I have that stuff off again. Alright, so I got the turbo and the hot side out, and actually I didn't have to take the wastegate off this time, so I don't know what I had removed last time that I didn't remove. I don't know. Anyways, so now, oh no, I need to take off this temperature gauge. So this is a, oh, is it not? I thought it was 11/16. I have a mechanical water temp gauge. I kind of wish I did have like Terminator X or whatever, then I wouldn't have to have gauges. I've been looking into doing something like that with the Nova, because it has the Mega Sport. I can run a Android tablet or something and be able to have basically a screen type dash with the gauges and stuff. Oh my god. tons of antifreeze pouring out of here. Just as I pulled that thing out, I thought, oh no, there's gonna be antifreeze in there. And then it came spilling out. So that's great. Okay. You ever like swear that you grabbed a certain wrench only to find out that you didn't? I swear this was the 15 and now I look and it's the 16. My goal for this afternoon is at least to get it more or less ready to pull. I mean, I gotta jack it up and do the transmission bolts, which are a pain, and the torque converter bolts, which are also a pain. Now we're gonna take manifolds off. Like I said, I feel that I could just leave it alone and let the engine tick away, and I mean, I don't really, mind you, I don't know if I want to turn the boost up on this thing a bunch. Oh, I think I modified this one too. But I'm only running like 10 pounds of boost in this thing, and I've been beating on it pretty good for 3 years now or whatever. I got the water pump off. I got the alternator bracket off, the power steering bracket, and I kind of just put it off to the side. I took the alternator off, so it should be okay when I start pulling it. I'll have to just, you know, make sure it's not banging into anything. And the starter's unhooked, the wires for the starter are unhooked, which I'll probably still drop the starter from the bottom when I'm under there, but at least I got the wires off. So all I still have to do is the motor mounts on either side, and then the torque converter and the transmission bolts, and she's ready to come out. So I don't know if I should keep going now, jack it up and get that stuff undone, or if I'll wait until I have the engine hoist, which will probably be tomorrow, but right away for you guys. So I'll decide what I'm doing, and then I'll decide, and then I'll decide, and then I'll decide. It's just about dinner time, so I'm gonna go in for to eat, and then come back tomorrow and get going on this. But before I go, I thought I'd show you one thing. So this is something when you have a S10 where it's really tight, and that one upper bolt is really hard to get at. You just drill a big hole in the firewall like that, and then you're able to get in there no problem to get that bolt out. It's definitely a lot easier than fighting with it from underneath. It's almost impossible to get the way the firewall is, and I actually bashed the firewall a bunch. Those 4L80s are so big. Plus I might have the engine, well, I think I have it pretty much in the stock location. I ended up taking the radiator out, and this is what happens when your electric fan explodes. Yeah, luckily it doesn't leak, so I ended up putting another fan on. I actually ended up making one fan out of two. Some parts that I had here, basically the blade exploded on a highway cruise that we went on. Okay, so I got the engine. Well, it's no different than it was yesterday. I got it jacked up though. Now I'm going to get underneath, take out transmission bolts, torque converter bolts, and it'll be ready to go, and then go get the engine hoist and get this thing out of here. So I don't think I'll really film anything underneath there because it's not a lot of room. So I'll come back when I get everything out. I realized I had to take the exhaust off, which is V-banded. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a V-band clamp right down there. So once I was able to get that off and the starter out, I was able to get these two bolts from the top. Not a problem. So those are out. So I still have to do the two on this side, which shouldn't be too bad. One of them I should be able to get with a ratchet maybe, and the other one with a wrench, and then just the torque converter bolts, and it should be ready to come out. There's quite a mess down there. I think when I took it apart, the oil feed line to the turbo was a little bit loose. So I'm guessing it was probably leaking oil, because it's pretty messy down there, and it really shouldn't be, unless that oil pan where I welded it is leaking at all, but I guess we'll see when we pull it out. But I'll get back under there and get those other bolts out, and we'll be ready to pull it. I lowered the truck back down again, and so pretty much it's ready to pull the engine out. I think I ended up putting that back in. It's just loose in there because the antifreeze was leaking everywhere. So it's ready to go. So I got to go get the engine hoist, and then come home and we should be able to get this thing out today. Got the engine hoist set up. I got a jack under the transmission. Let's see what happens. I think I might have to remove the motor mounts to get the engine out. Somehow I think maybe they worked last time without taking them, but I'm not sure, so see what happens. Gotta give her a little bit, and then get the bolts, motor mount bolts out, engine mount bolts, whatever you want to call them. I think I have to take the mounts off, if I remember correctly, because as you can see, they got to come up quite a bit, and there's not a lot of room back there. All right, guys. So I got the mounts out, and I gave it a little push, and it kind of already popped out of the thing. There's gotta save my antifreeze. Gotta save my antifreeze. I got it from the junkyard, so I gotta make sure that it stays good. Clayton said to save it for him. All right, guys, so it's out. All I gotta do now is get her on the stand, and on the next episode of What's That Tick, we'll start pulling it apart and try to find out what's wrong with it. So, like always, don't subscribe, don't watch the videos, and I won't check you later.